Hi, welcome to the Cows Podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Burney. A catalyst is defined as a person or thing that precipitates an event. A catalyst is something that it participates in a reaction, but does not get consumed in the reaction. There's a heart behind this podcast for, people with aspirations. There's a heart behind this podcast for motivated people that want to make a difference, that have a bias for action, that really, truly want to be a catalyst in the environment around them, both professionally and personally, in their homes, in their workplace, and beyond. So welcome to this podcast. I really hope you're enjoying the series that we're in. Welcome to this episode, and let's dive right in. So I actually wanted to kind of pivot into a couple things, and yet, Sherry, thank you. You already led us there. I do love to kind of cap off the conversation with two main pillars. The first one being, what are you excited about looking forward? The second one being what we've already started kind of touching on here is advice. And I love your advice. I do think that it is more of a habitual thing and a consistency thing, as opposed to just not doing any development or, focusing on your growth for a period of time. And then all of a sudden you just magically read a book and can put something like put in this equation to your life. And then all of a sudden things like that's not realistic.
Right.
So I'm a big proponent of consistency and the right habits. And if you focus on, and I think about it in terms of leading indicators and lagging indicators. If you focus on the leading indicators, the lagging indicators will take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, y'all were already taking us there. I love that. Thank you. But we can continue down the, general advice, because I think that's super important for professionals that are, have aspirations for a certain position, or to leave the corporate world and start their own business that they've been kind of working at night or something like that. I think it's really important to hear, these words of wisdom from you guys. So I'd love to hear more of that. Also want to hear what you're excited about looking forward. So I don't know if you have a preference on where to start there, but I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a good place to start with some other nuggets of advice based upon our experiences and where we've looked back on. And that's another thing right there, as a successful leader, as a strong leader, always look back on, okay, what have I learned from, what have I failed in, and how can I learn to become better? That's every day as a leader. That's something you need to do, is to do that reflection piece, right? Every day, reflect on what it is, what worked, what didn't work, what were your successes, what were your failures, and become better the next day. If you become better today than you were yesterday, then you're becoming successful. That's really what it comes down to, right? Now, how do you do that? Right. That's the question. How? Unfortunately, you can go in and get a degree in college and spend a lot of time in school, and unfortunately, most likely, you don't necessarily have what we call power skills. Right? You haven't learned those. The how tends to kind of go away. We get the book knowledge and gets us a solid foundation of whatever we decide to go into. However, the how isn't there. Then how do you become a successful leader? Well, work. That's how. You work at it. You learn from it. You surround yourself with people you want to be like, right? Jim Rohn says we are the average of the 5 people we spend most of our time with. Who are you spending time with?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to be at a corporate level. You want to have a position in another company. Be around people that are there and also have the same mindset as you do when it comes to leading. Okay. That's how you learn. I also say get a coach and a mentor. Now they're two different people. Sometimes one can be the same, but it has to be very divided. But they are different. Getting a coach and a mentor, I can't tell you how many times we've said this to ourselves. We would have done that back in the day if we'd have thought about it first. If we'd have knew about that, if we'd have really put forth that effort, we would have got ourselves a coach right away. When we did get ourselves a set of coaches, and we do have a set of coaches for us, it made a big difference. It really did. But those are some pointers I wanted to make. You want to add to that?
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would add to that is especially for new leaders, it's like, well, where do you get so overwhelmed, like where do we start, right? And let's say, for example, for a mentor is to follow maybe in a podcast or a book and you don't have to be like a physical, like face to face, or even now with the virtual, but to really absorb that material.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, as long as it aligns with your core values, and to implement that. And it all runs back to action, right? Yep. We can read and learn, but as long as you get some type of action out of it. I know for example, for me, for my transformation, reading particular the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell, it literally is a blueprint for personal development. And there is some great nuggets in there, even as an entrepreneur, which is fantastic. Yeah. And it gives you action steps in every chapter. And it's that type of book that you can read over and over again and still get more great knowledge out of it, because depending on where you are in your growth, then you'll get that information. And I continue to read that. It's kind of my second Bible, to go back and be like, oh, I didn't understand that, but now I do.
Right.
And what else can I pull from that? And then start incorporating that. Pick one thing, start simple, do the one thing, right? And then everything compounds with that. So
being intentional is the point here, right? Yeah. Be intentional about your growth. Be intentional of what it is that you want to do. Intentionality means doing it on purpose. Right? Leadership is learned. It's not something that's just automatic. This whole concept of a born leader, it's not born. It just isn't. You may have characteristics of a leader, perhaps, but it's a learned process. And that you don't learn that process. You don't become a strong leader unless you do it, unless you learn and you progress and you experience and you fail forward and you learn from that. You get the right people on board with you that's going to help you, your coaches, your mentors, those types of things. Being intentional on your success, because that's gonna play a big part on the success of those people that you lead.
Yeah, no, I love that. The other thing that comes to mind, excuse me, Sherry, as you were talking, I love the idea of coming back to something at a different point. I'm definitely guilty of like reading something and going, 2 out of these 5 things are relevant to me. The other 3, what was that author thinking? Like, no way. I haven't experienced anything that comes close to even needing that, or whatever. Like, you get the point.
Yeah.
Sure. But the more, and especially now, that I'm a little over 10 years into my career, I guess it's a little longer now. Anyway, being, having more experience, different companies, different positions, it's a great time even for me to go back to some of the core things that I've read and kind of base my foundation on. Right. And look at it with fresh eyes of like, okay, I've experienced different things. Because that's really, you nailed it. Like, that's really where something becomes solidified, and you can put it into practice easier by reflecting on something that you've experienced, or, but to both of you are saying, like, you got to put it into practice. Like, it takes action. It takes, that's absolutely right. Yeah. I love that.
And because that action, it comes accountability. And that's another big piece too, that if you take an action, you're like, okay, great, I've done that, I read, and I'm going to put this piece into place in my everyday occurrence, right? Okay, great. That's one step. Now it's the accountability. I always equate this to exercise, right? We all want to be skinny and rich, right? And that's a Les Brown kind of thing, right? Skinny, rich, woo, but nobody wants to put the work in, right? Yeah. We all want to magically get the 6-pack abs and beach body, take a pill, instant world. But nobody likes to put the work in, and that's where the accountability comes in. And that's why there's training fitness people out there at all times, because yes, you can change your habits, you can change your mindset's huge on that, but your food that you eat, your activity that you do. And then that's why that there's coaches out there, fitness coaches out there, like, okay, let's get your steps in today, or let's get to the gym, however it works for you. Same thing with the mental health when it comes to building your business or building your influence. It's the same thing. I mean, it's like, okay, how did I reach out? How are you going to do cold calls? If you're in that type of industry, great. How many do you need in order to meet your goal? Well, I need to do 5. Okay, well, let's break that down and then have that again. When you're going to do that? Oh, tomorrow by 5. Perfect. And then by tomorrow by 5, you follow up with that person, or they should be following with you, and just like, so how did that go? And then we'll talk about it. But you don't want to come to a table and knowing that that's the expectation, be like, oh man, I didn't make my 5 phone calls that I did. It gets that sense of urgency and that kind of empowerment, really, of just be like, that's my responsibility, nobody else's. I'm the one that put that on myself. So I need to own up. And and that's interesting. That's what's going to happen between a player and a pretender, of what's going to happen. We see that all the time. People want to make a change and they want to be $1 billion company. And then when it comes down to accountability, well, we just had one not long ago say to us, oh, I don't need that. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm doing,
well, you're
I'm
looking for
like,
coaching, but doesn't want accountability. It's like, okay, well, you're not a fit then. Because what Sherry just described is how we coach. And accountability is huge. Okay. Is having that person there, having someone there that understands where you want to be and holds you accountable to what you've set out as your vision. And that is what gets people where they want to be, and gets their business where they want to be, is by stretching, being uncomfortable, and having somebody say, I'm sorry, but you didn't do what you said you were going to do. So how are we going to fix this? And that's the value of a coach.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love it. So lastly, just want to hear from you guys. What are you excited about looking forward? Maybe something, the balance of this year, maybe it's a 2022 initiative. What's exciting as you look forward?
Oh, probably the book.
Yeah, we've got a couple of things. One of the things we are co-authoring a book called Empowerment and Leadership: the 10 Principles Every Leader Must Follow to Lead with Influence.
Nice.
And that is based upon our empowerment method. And that has been a little bit of a delay this year, but we're hoping that in the beginning, the first quarter of next year, it'll be published, launched, the whole thing. And that'll be available. So we're really excited about that, because we're trying to compile in our 4.5 decades of experience into a 10-chapter book. So it's going to be interesting. It's already started to become interesting, because we've compiled quite a bit of it. Now it's a matter of sharpening it up. So we're excited about that as an overall big for us, and for anyone who can might benefit from it. More close proximity of time, we've gotten, I'm not sure when this will be out, but we do have a mastermind that we're coming on personal growth, and that's going to be coming up next month. And we also at the same time we actually have an in-person event finally, where we're going to be doing an in-person event here locally. But just so you know, the mastermind, or any of our mastermind trainings that we do, generally run 6, 8, 10 weeks in length, are all virtual. They always have the option of virtual, so anybody can join this.
Nice.
And anything that we do. So our website will pretty much let you know what we got going on at pretty much any given time. But those are some of the big things we're excited about. And of course, we're excited that we have a couple of our partners that are going to end the year. Actually, almost all of our partners, all but one, because he's not really self-employed. He works for corporate. And so their goals are slightly different, but they've already progressed into new positions where they wanted to be. But we have partners that are going to double, if not triple, the size of their business and revenue this year. So we're really excited about that for them. That's
fantastic. So you brought up website. I do want to let the listeners know your contact information, and I have your Instagram and your LinkedIn, all that fun stuff. I don't have it in front of me, so if you can just audibly let us know your website, and then please know that all the contact information will be in the show notes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. www.loueverettgroup.com. So LOUEVERTT.com.
There's an E in there. That's okay. We'll spell it out for y'all. It's okay. By the way, Sherry and I are married. We are a married couple.
Spell my own name. There you go.
That's okay. We'll have it listed. That's
there
right. Hey, the joys of owning a business together. Yeah, but yeah, so go to loueverettgroup.com. There's no "the" in front of the URL there. Okay. And any of Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, it's at Lou Everett Group. And you'll find at the Lou Everett Group, you'll find us. Plus go to our website. They're all linked. It's all linked there too. So and feel free to reach out to us, our email and our phone number. Believe it or not, it's on our website. Okay. And that goes directly to Sherry. So you can actually talk to somebody. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you and how we can help you out.
Well, I will say this hour flew by for me. It's been great to have you on. And I certainly encourage anybody listening. I didn't make the caveat here at the beginning of this third segment, but if you are listening to the end of this in the third segment and you did not listen to segments 1 and 2, I'm not sure why, but stop now and go listen to the first couple, because this has been a fantastic discussion. I know it energizes me to hear about the impact you guys are making, and you're very much in line with your approach, what you've drawn from your experiences, what you're sowing into the business owners and professionals you work with. So thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having us. And like you said, go back and listen to the other ones because you missed out.
Some good nuggets there.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a part of this journey. Definitely subscribe, check out Be a Catalyst on Instagram and on Twitter. Also, don't forget to check out the YouTube channel where you'll find videos in addition to the Catalyst podcast recordings that give a little bit more context around my heart for training, my heart for seeing early to middle managers and first-time leaders really thrive and be a catalyst in the organization that they're in the project that they are after, everything that goes along with that. So thank you for being a part of this. Tune in for the next episode, and remember, be you, be confident, be a catalyst.